Merry Christmas from Peru and the volunteers at Christ Life Radio and Church Servant International. On August 15, 2007, an earthquake measuring 8.0 on the Richter scale shook the city of Pisco, Peru. Pisco is located approximately a 4-hour drive south of Lima, the capital of Peru. 596 people died on that tragic day. 76,000 homes were either badly damaged or completely destroyed. On that day, however, the beginning of a new ministry was born. Mark, at the center, quickly traveled to Peru from the USA. In Peru, he met with brother Juan at the far left, who lived in the middle of the quake zone. Lupe, a chemical engineer, had left her job in Lima to volunteer among the earthquake victims. Mark began to evangelize using an outdoor movie projector that Campus Crusade for Christ had lent him. God gave the opportunity to start an evangelistic TV program. Here we have 2 Brazilian YWAM missionaries being interviewed by Mark. Lupe often came to help with evangelism after finishing her task of helping feed 20,000 people every day. Hundreds of people kneeled on the streets to receive Christ every month. Sometimes we had to use creative methods to preach the gospel. Here we have 3 loudspeakers with a generator and an amplifier mounted on a 3-wheel tricycle. This mobile pulpit could be heard for a distance of up to 200 meters away. God even allowed us to help bring peace to an anti-government demonstration. Brother Juan, a deacon at the local Pentecostal church, challenged Mark to build a radio station in Pisco. Eventually, these 3 very average, normal Christians would begin to work together. When Mark traveled overseas, Luke would become the director of Radio Cristo Vida. Mark and Juan prayed for provision and for a radio station in the earthquake zone. Part of the provision finally came when an Ecuadorian businesswoman sold her business and gave everything to God. However, God had plans for a different location. Gracias, Ecuador. That different location was a province high in the Peruvian mountains called Ayacucho. It's a 6-hour drive east of Pisco. Ayacucho, birthplace of the Shining Path Revolution. Ayacucho in the 1990s suffered much because of conflict between a communist group called the Shining Path and the Peruvian military. 72,000 Peruvians were killed as a result of this revolution. In the province of Ayacucho, the Lord led us exactly to a village called Huamanguilla. Huamanguilla is situated 22 kilometers from Huamanga, the local capital of Ayacucho, in the mountains of Peru, also known as the Andes Mountains, at an elevation of 3,300 meters above sea level. We began to do the necessary applications and paperwork with the Peruvian government to obtain an FM radio license. Soon we found a piece of land to build the radio station on. Here we have Mark with the gentleman that set up our radio tower. We set up the tower for the FM antennas and the internet dishes. To our surprise, because the tower is at such a high elevation, much of the capital, called Huamanga, can now hear our signal. As an act of gratitude, Mark once wrote in the wet cement during the construction, "Jesus Christ, I love you." Bit by bit, construction advanced. During the construction, local children would often visit us. Finally, the Cristo Vida, Christ Life radio station and tower were finished. God blessed us with several volunteers and helpers at 98.9 FM Ayacucho, www.radiocristovida.net. The mountain studio is a bit primitive, but functional, enlarging the vision. But we felt that God had bigger plans for Christ Life Radio. We began to pray and travel to see if God would open up to us more doors of ministry, either in the mountains or in the jungle. While awaiting the Peruvian government for the necessary permissions, Mark returned to Latvia. God finally opened up the door in the jungle village of Aucayacu, which is located 14 hours from Lima and 1 hour from the village of Tingo Maria. This area was hit extremely hard by narco-terrorism, and just in the past 4 years has a state of emergency been lifted. Here, the translation of this newspaper cover from a few years ago states, "Ambush in the jungle, 8 police killed by Shining Path fighters in Aucayacu." From a previous offering, God had provided the funds to buy the land and also to complete the first phase of the construction. The concrete block to the left is part of the foundation for the radio tower. Here we are digging ditches for the water lines that will lead to the new radio station. However, we're still struggling to finish building the radio studio and to erect the tower. And also we're struggling to finish paying for the radio transmitter, as well as to purchase the bare minimum sound and computer equipment. Although the tower foundations have already been poured of concrete, we still need to set up the radio tower. We continue to trust that the God that brought us to the jungle will also make a way to complete this project. God has been with us and helped us to this point, but we also need your help. Remembering that the Peruvian government requires that this radio project be completed by the 4th of February, 2017. We want to thank you for partnering with Christ Life Radio, for partnering with Radio Cristo Vida. Thank you for praying. We invite you to visit us. We invite you to give offerings or even to make a loan so that we can finish this last critical portion of this construction project. And all the glory belongs to God. Here we have a few urgent needs. They could come in the form of a loan or an offering, and I probably need about a year to repay back any offering. But we need lumber for the studio walls. We need tower accessories. We need to buy a used computer. A new would be nicer, but used is okay too. We need an audio compressor. We need a microphone. We need a small air conditioner to keep the FM radio transmitter cool so it doesn't overheat. We need to finish paying the taxes to the Peruvian government for the year. We need to make the final payment for the FM transmitter, and we also need to pay labor costs to erect the tower. The actual tower has been purchased, we just need to set it up. And then we need some small items like a toilet, a sink to buy a bed, a small gas stove for the studio. And then there you see the total that we have right now. That's the bare minimum. And of course that doesn't include food for daily needs or lodging. I'm in South America without a return ticket either to Europe or to the States. So as the next slide is, please help, or help please. Thank you so much, and God bless you, and Merry Christmas 2016 and a Happy New Year 2017. God bless you.